Hello, Stitchers. Welcome to Stitch Please, the official podcast of Black Women Stitch, the sewing group where Black Lives Matter. I'm your host, Lisa Woolfork. I'm a fourth-generation sewing enthusiast with more than 20 years of sewing experience. I am looking forward to today's conversation, so sit back, relax, and get ready to get your stitch together. Welcome to a Black Woman Stitch podcast, Get Your Stitch Together chat. I am your host, Lisa Woolfork, the founder and creator of Black Women Stitch, and I am delighted to have this live chat with Bianca Springer, who is not only looking gorgeous in this lovely fro, this lovely, just beautiful freedom fro. I absolutely love it. And so glad to see her. And fresh from, I'm sure, so many scratched and broken fingernails and dusty hands from unboxing the truckload of baby lock that just landed at her house. So congratulations. Yes. That's a lot of fun. I think that your serger, your 8-thread serger has like a self-threading needle. I congratulations. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Actually, I do want to talk to you because Black Women Stitch is going to QuiltCon, and so we could talk about some collaboration and fun times.
Please, yes,
absolutely. So hello and welcome, folks. If you are watching us on Facebook or on YouTube or on Twitter, jump into the comments and we'll be able to see them. We'll be able to post your questions that you have. So don't be afraid to share the chat, share it out, let them know that we're here. We're going to be here for about an hour, and we're going to be talking about represent. I love this book and all of it and all about it. I do. I pre-ordered a copy. And then I think you gave me a copy, and I'm just loving it, absolutely loving it. And so I wanted to. I know we talked about the episode. You all should go and check out the episode. This episode of the Stitch Please podcast is one of our most popular episodes. Hello. We got Katrina the Maker showing up in Houston, Texas. Bianca's y'all practically neighbors.
Yes.
Same neck of the Houston woods. You two and Beyonce. So welcome. The book is so beautiful. It is a beautiful, bright book. The patterns in the back, the illustrations, all of these things. One of them even has Katrina's name in it, saying maker. It's really lovely. And so I wanted you to talk a little bit about what this has been like for you. You are now on a tour for your book, talking to people, going to different sewing accounts. I think you were at Daddy Dress Me, and I think Anita by Design, and I'm not sure who else is on your tour. You're on a whirlwind tour, okay? So where are you going? Where you been?
Okay, so that's how Monica kicked it off at the start of the week, where she was talking about the project she's most excited about and looking forward to stitching. My friend Entropy Always Wins, Hillary, made an incredible bag with one of the designs. And it's so funny. What I am loving on this tour is seeing the designs that people choose that resonate with them as their first make. Nice. And I'm going to be 100% honest and say they're in the 100+ designs in this book. The Afro Star woman was really high on my love list, but very low on my make list because I had stitched the book, so many projects, and my hands were tired. And I'm like, oh, I love this, but I probably won't get to it. Hillary sent me a preview picture. And
Oh,
I was so jealous. I fell
wow.
in love with the preview work and I absolutely had to have it. I'm like, okay, I'm making it too. And so I love that she was inspired by the design. She
Yes.
made it and she inspired me to then make it. And so I just love that. And
And
so she's
that's amazing. And that just goes to show you that this book is a gift that keeps giving again and again and again. That, you wrote the dang book. You would think that you were sick of it by now. Like, oh my gosh, if I have to look at one more strand of embroidery thread, Lord. I
I've
mean,
lost you.
like, oh, if can you hear it? Yes.
I can't hear you.
Test, test, test. Can anyone out there hear me? I will remute. Hello, test, test.
Still
Um,
no.
hold on. I think I will go out and come back. Um, hello, test, test. No. So Quinora says she can.
Huh. I don't
So
know why.
okay. So
Huh. Maybe I'm going to disconnect my Bluetooth and see.
yes, yes,
Okay, try now.
yes. You sound
Yes,
great.
you sound great. Okay, great. And my fan's not a problem?
No, the fan
Okay,
is
well,
not the
let's
problem. Excellent.
Christmas list item.
So you were saying that thank you all so much for your comments. Can you see the comments, Bianca?
Yes, yes.
Okay, good. So folks can hear us. That's really wonderful. And you were saying that you were surprised. I was surprised that you were surprised by your own book.
Yeah.
That you were that you had projects on there that you were like, listen, I love this, but I don't want to make it.
Not now.
I
It was very far on the list. And she started, I mean, she sent me a little snippet. And I was like, okay, where'd you get your felt? And
wow.
she sent me the felt. That was the wonderful thing. She's like, here you go. And so we have matching bags, kind of matching.
Yes.
So I added some colorful
Oh.
and some gold earrings, and I just love her. I
Oh,
just love her.
that's lovely.
Thank
Wow.
you.
I'll see this bag. Oh my gosh. That is really lovely. And
Yes, and
so are those like French knots? What stitches used for the hair?
okay, and so one of the key things for me with writing this book and choosing these designs was I understand that the textures that we're going to add may be complex. And I really want to simplify it. I want you to have a project with big impact, but something stitches that are manageable. So
Yes.
the little stars,
Yes.
the stars here are all backstitch. So the hair is backstitch,
Oh,
the lips are satin stitch,
wow.
the earring is a satin stitch, and the body is a back stitch. So very simple, easy beginner stitches, but when you put them all together, you get this
Oh, I
impact.
love that.
Yes.
Wow. So that is really great. That is lovely. We have people's Kathleen saying it's a gorgeous bag. Katrina the maker talking about how beautiful it is. And Julian has stepped in the house and is waving and saying hello. It's
Hey.
so good. it. Jillian, thank you. And Golda, Kathleen, Kay Jordan, Quinora, thank y'all so much for being here with us today.
Yes.
I am loving the way you did the hair here, the hairstyles in this,
Mhm.
all the different, y'all, this is a really wonderful book. And I feel like once you've figured out how to do the design, then you can do it for a variety of purposes. Say you want to take a hoop and knit and stitch up something as a gift for a friend. That's a way to make something for someone, and you don't have to worry about what size it is or whatever. And you can put it on different things. Like this could go great on like a sweatshirt. A sweatshirt. I was thinking about your jean jacket. That's what I was thinking of.
Yes, I
Yeah,
love that.
it's a perfect thing to sample on. It really is a great thing to sample on.
And
So,
it's something that you can have, that I call it the work in progress. There are so many times where we feel like we need to finish something. No, you stitch one design strategically here and boom, you've got impact, you've got something that's wearable, you got a statement piece, and then you just
mhm.
add and add and add. And so I am, perfection is admirable and is a goal, but that's not, I want progress. And
Yes,
so
yes, yes,
yeah. So I love the
yes.
denim jacket for that, because you can sit, watch a TV program, stitch out one design, put it aside,
That's right.
wear it.
And you can say, well, you know what, I have something here. Let me see if I can do something smaller around one part of the hem, or let me see if I want to do something down this shoulder. And you can practice and seeing like, okay, if this gets spilled or whatever, what happens when I throw this in the washing machine? Or what happens when I send it to the dry cleaner? Like it's a great way to test too.
Yes.
By having it be like like a template that you'll always have with you.
Yes.
So excellent. Now you've been on this tour, so you said you talked with Monica. You started with Monica, and now
Monica, Hillary,
it's right.
and
Who did
then
the? Mhm.
she did the felt bag.
Yes.
Then
Oh wow.
Pauline. So you think you can?
Yeah. Yes. Excellent. Oh, that's
She
wonderful.
she chose the loved contour, and
Oh,
that's one of three. So we have loved, we have enough, we have nope.
no.
Um, yes, because sometimes you just gotta make it clear. So we
All
have
just.
and blessed.
Ah, yes.
And again, this is a book of 100 designs, and I'm just impressed and surprised and moved by what people choose to make. And she chose to add the loved contour on one of her me made shirts, and I really appreciated that.
Wow. Oh, that's beautiful. That's like make on top, make on make,
Yeah.
layer and layer of meaning, something that she made, that you made, that she made, and this all of that intertextuality mixing together. Oh, it's just lovely. It's just
Yes.
love. It's like the book is like a book of beginnings. It's your first book. And
Yes.
then it's also some people's chance to start doing, embroidery for the first time. But it
Yes.
also means that whenever you begin an embroidery project, at least for me, whenever I begin an embroidery project, it's a different kind of commitment because I
Yes.
know that I'm going to be doing something that's going to require sustained attention.
Yes.
It's something that I'm going to be transforming really slowly,
Yes.
so it's kind of this meditative practice as well,
Yes.
depending on how you do it. Like I know that for knitting or crochet, sometimes when I did a lot of knitting, I could do it and do it like at meetings and still listen to the meeting and not do it. But for hand stitching, I find myself needing to pay a bit more attention, you know.
Yes.
I don't know, just parts for me, I guess because I'm so new at it. It requires a lot of practice. What advantages do you see to hand embroidery, to handwork, especially as someone who does a lot of machine sewing normally? And how do you think hand embroidery can enhance somebody's regular sewing?
I I love handwork. I love hand embroidery. It was the first craft I ever learned. And what I appreciated about it was you could get big impact with a single stitch. with
Yeah.
a particular fiber. So it
Mhm.
doesn't have to be complicated to still be impactful. Um,
Yes.
it doesn't require complicated machinery. It doesn't require a lot of space. It
Right.
is
That's right.
it's manageable. Um, kids can do it. You
Yeah.
know, you and I, we grew up being told go sit down and be quiet somewhere.
Yes.
And
Absolutely. It's how
you
I fell in
know,
love with books.
yes, yes. And so it's a way to sit down and be quiet somewhere, but also to be with your thoughts and to be meditative.
Yes. Yes.
And for me, I work from home. My husband works from home. And during the pandemic, in particular, when my kids were in virtual school, I found that at the end of the day, we were all separated. We had been around each other, but not connecting with each other. And embroidery was one of those crafts that I could take into the room with them, so I can be physically present but still
Yes.
feel creatively that I was making something, that there was some output. Um,
Yes.
you
Yes.
know, and I think it's important for me to communicate to my children that things take time. Good things
Yes.
take time,
Yes.
and
Yes.
not everything has to be perfect. I do
Absolutely.
want nice work. I want to do good work.
Mhm.
But if my blanket stitch is a little wonky here, once this whole hood is up, you
Who's
don't
gonna
see
know?
who's
Who's
gonna know.
gonna know? No one's gonna know.
No. And even if you do know, I dare you to challenge me because there's beauty everywhere.
Exactly, exactly. And this is part of that whole beauty. You know,
Yes.
it
Yes.
absolutely is. And I think it's so unfortunate when we get to the point where the to strive for perfectionism is not about doing a craft well. It's about doing it in a way that looks like it has
Yes.
been done well. Like
Yes.
it's if and that is like that's not something that is a gift to the human spirit. You know, the
Yeah.
idea that you have to have this kind of repeatable that you as a human person working and painting with your hands or stitching with your hands or doing crewel work or knitting or embroidery, all of these things that are meant to be done with as actual manual labor is
Mhm.
supposed to look like it came from a factory.
Yes. I don't buy into that. And I think it's so important with our children who have access to so much technology and so much machine things that it's important to say, okay, let's do a running stitch. Let's do a back stitch. Let's slow down.
Yes.
Let's make something. And I think what is curious to me is as I go through in garment making and whatever bag making, as I navigate life, and people would stop me and compliment me on stuff, and I'd say, "Thanks, I made it."
Yes.
They'd be surprised. What? You made it? People make stuff, and I'm like, "We make stuff. Things are made by hand. Someone is
Yes.
making what you're
Yes.
wearing,
Who made your
and
clothes? Somebody made them.
somebody did." And I want people to understand that non-makers to understand that making is accessible. And
Yes.
handwork, hand embroidery is an entry point into that. And so, yeah, I think it is a good entry point into handwork if that's all you're going to do. But
Ye
embellishing and upcycling,
yes.
it's so easy to transform something that is mass produced. That is,
Yes. That's true. To personalize it. To
yes,
personalize it. And isn't that like what we want? Right?
yes,
We want to personalize the things that we have. That's one of the reasons why we sew. We don't
yes,
sew so you can have something that looks like everybody else, what everyone else has, you know?
yes,
Like that's not the purpose of sewing. The purpose of sewing is to do, to do you. The purpose
yes,
of sewing is to do you. It's to be
yes,
the best you can be, to put your best foot forward in a way that is reflective of you.
yes.
That is it. Be you. That's what it's for.
And that's
Represent
what this does.
yourself. Yes. I
Yes.
just love it. I just love it. So after my spot, I know that so after
So
you've done and
today,
yes.
so Pauline was yesterday, and today is Melisso's Melissa
Ah,
Moore
yes.
from Blank Slate
Excellent.
Patterns,
Wonderful.
and
Oh my goodness.
and she sent me a teaser last week, and I
I'm
literally
sorry. I have to
okay,
pause just 1 second. I'm so
mhm,
sorry. Just 1 second.
no problem.
I'm so sorry. No worries. Thank you so much. Everything's fine. I thought it wasn't, but it is. It is.
Okay, good, good.
My apologies. So you said Melly Souls was the last thing I remembered?
Yes. So she sent me a teaser last week,
Yes.
and this is me. I looked at it, I put my phone down, and I was so moved because she did the Afro Puff flower girl.
Oh,
So the hair is here she is. She did her,
wow. Yes.
and she did the crayon shading for her daughter. So it
Oh,
looks like her daughter, and her hair are these beautiful red roses,
oh,
and her daughter, it's a makeup bag for her daughter, and her
wow.
daughter requested the addition of the word lovely. And so there's this beautiful makeup pouch with an image that looks like her, with a word that expresses her, that she's going to take with her throughout her day. And I'm just like,
Oh
just,
my gosh. That is
yes,
what your book is for.
yes, yes.
That
And
is
so
what it's for.
she shared today. You can go to my Insta, and you'll see it. And then she has the link to how to make the pouch
Okay.
on her blog. And it's so yeah. So she was today, and tomorrow is Friday, and so
Yes.
we're going to have Anita by Design and Michael from Daddy Dressed Me by tomorrow.
Oh,
So I'm curious. I'm excited to see what Michael's going to say
yes.
or do.
Yes, because he's got a little that he's always sewing for and creating for. So this
Yeah.
is perfect for her. I mean, you've got to be really happy with the response from little girls or from people who get to sew something for a little girl using your book, that your book is equipping. It is giving parents and guardians and loved ones and family members a chance to express their love for themselves, love for their kids. And also making it so that there's never the option of saying, "Oh, we didn't know. Oh, what's the big deal? Oh," and so that we don't have to be satisfied with, you know, scavenging a big box store trying to find a picture of a kid with a brown kid on it, you
Yes.
know, and like not having to like wait and wait and wait, And so with these designs, you can customize anything for a little black girl,
Yes.
and you can use your stitches to sing a song for a black girl,
Yes.
and it really is such a really a powerful tribute in some ways, like, and I love this whole like renaissance, it seems, of black girls flourishing, with the most recent book, the Black Girl Sew book, coming out, and then yours. And it's just like, wow, it feels very full, and then knowing that Jen Hewitt's book, This Long Thread, is coming into its first anniversary next month. Like,
Yeah.
it's like things are happening. We are making things happen. Things are
Yes.
happening. They're not just happening because they happen, they happen because people who are very committed, and who want to put their art, their passions behind their creativity in such a really powerful way. That's how we get to this point. Um,
Yes.
and and I thank you for driving us there. Yeah,
Thank
just
you. Thank you.
just wonderful. Now, do you have any project suggestions that are good for young people? Do you have some that you think are more beginner friendly? Like if there's someone who is trying to, like a young person who's never stitched before, maybe like some of their motor skills, the fine motor skills are still in development, maybe. What projects do you recommend for young folks?
So I think any of the projects that are just text
Okay.
are good options because they're not overly complex. They're
Okay.
generally, can be one stitch. This wash
Okay.
day, I think I'm going to put it on a bonnet. Um,
Yes.
I think it'd
Yes.
be really cute on a baseball cap.
So cute. Oh, a baseball cap. Oh, that's very clever, Bianca. Very,
Thank
very clever. Oh
you.
my gosh. That's awesome.
So any of these contours again,
Yes.
because you can do a back stitch.
Uh-huh.
You can also, if you want to make it a little more complex, here
Yes.
you can do satin stitches. So imagine
Oh,
gradations
yes.
of color between every line, and
Yes.
you can have negative space where the word is
Right.
not
Right.
stitched.
Right.
But if you this can be done in a single stitch. You can do a split stitch, a back stitch. Use
Wow.
variegated threads. You can
Right.
get a
Right.
lot of impact with multiple color threads.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
I think what else? Easy stuff. Satin, anything with a satin stitch. The dope bag.
I love
This,
that.
thank you. The stitching for this is pretty simple. The bag construction takes a little more
Right. Right.
skill, but if you're a garment maker, that won't be a
That
problem.
will be hard.
But in
Yeah.
terms of if you wanted to stitch any of the words, the many words I have, um, it's a simple satin stitch and then a back stitch. So this would take a little more time,
Yes.
but I feel like most of them, the hair is a little more of a challenge because it's a
Okay.
new concept, but
Yeah.
a lot of them are very, start with the words, start with the,
Okay.
simple, yes, I can say it,
Yes.
no, you cannot.
Yes. Yes.
Start with these
Absolutely.
simple
Yes.
words.
I love it. That's a
Um,
great, that's
oh,
such a
and
great
also
phrase.
those, thank you. And the hands from the Connect Over Coffee coaster set.
Yes. Okay.
So
Okay.
those are pretty pretty simple. They're not, they aren't filled. They are outlined
Right.
projects. So in terms of
Yes.
time, it won't take as much time to stitch those.
Okay. Okay.
Um, so I will say, I think I need to say, there is some artistic nudity in this book.
Ah, okay.
Um, so just when if you share it with kids, just know that beforehand. It
Right.
is a project piece, so it's worth the conversation. It's the elements are for the definition of nude project,
Right.
and so it's about reframing the word nude.
Yes.
But beyond that, I think it is a kid friendly book, uh,
Yes.
a family friendly book because some of
Yes,
them,
indeed.
everyone. I think there's a little something for everybody.
I think you're right. I think you're right. And it's so funny. I was looking at the background for your studio, and I remember when you did that. I remember when I'm looking at it now, and it's like looking at you holding a book that you wrote about hand embroidery in front of a backdrop that looks a
Yeah.
lot like embroidery floss. This feels very vision boardy, coming true type thing. Um,
Yes.
I mean, can you talk a little bit about that? Like, in what way has this process been a fulfillment of a vision or of a plan or of an objective for you?
And it's funny. I feel like it's a fulfillment upon reflection. Um,
Oh,
you know,
beautiful.
when you talk about vision boards, it, in my mind, that's something you plan, you say, I want these things to happen, and you pursue those things. I feel like my journey to here has been, I am uncomfortable with the way things are.
Mm,
How do I fix that?
yes.
And so it feels like, and because that is such a amorphous thing,
Yeah.
feeling and interacting with other people and figuring out where the gaps in the industry are, all of that is so fluid. I don't feel like this has been a path. It hasn't necessarily been
Mhm.
a trajectory to here. It has
Yeah.
been an evolution. And
Yes.
so, I feel like, okay, this is who I am. This is what I can bring. How can we work together? How can we advance this cause, this idea? And
Yes.
so I guess I feel like at times that that's not a good enough answer, because I feel
Got
like
it.
some people are like, plan and execute. And I'm like, no,
No.
live your truth and make the world fit. And
Yes.
so,
Yes.
that's kind of where I was. And so, in this space, I want to feel comfortable. In my home, I want to feel comfortable. I want to
Yes.
communicate to my kids that the work of my hands means something.
Yes.
And
No
and
pets.
so, and so that's where it has gone to. I don't, it is like one something Hillary said in
Hmm.
her blog post. So Hillary and I met over our love of hand embroidery
Hmm.
using another company's work.
Okay.
And and so and she it was the way she described it, she's like, she's just brilliant, because I did not see this. She said, we met over the love of embroidery using the work of a non-inclusive designer.
Wow.
And from our meeting,
Wow.
and then my objection to the use of the word nude, and then Hillary's allyship in creating the quilt project and bringing in the international community in that, and
Hmm.
then it being acquired by Henry Ford, and at the same time I'm writing the book. And then she's like, and here we are, I am now supporting my friend in an inclusive embroidery book that she wrote. And so, had I thought this was possible then, I
Yes.
would have lost my mind. And so I love the idea of it, of just being open and allowing things to move, and then taking
Yes.
opportunities when they come, and also stepping into spaces and demanding that opportunities be made.
Exactly. No, I think that's really, it's really beautiful. And it's a perfect example of building what you need, you know, that you came together, you kind of came together over an absence.
Yes.
And
Yes.
then you filled that absence with something that was like really generative, really generative. And now you have something that is going to be generative for other people. And
Yes.
we have a comment here from Facebook, Anjana, saying that your comments are good advice for every art. The idea of like of following the flow and the process, and that sometimes, that not life isn't linear. Life is not linear. And this idea that all one needs to do is blah blah blah. Whenever you hear all you need to do is, that person doesn't know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
They don't know what they're talking about. They're about to give you some nonsense. Just prepare to hear the most basic, general, or the most complicated thing you have ever heard. Like, all you
Yes.
gotta do is, start your 501c3, and then make sure you get your corporate nonprofit status. And then after that, I'm like, none of these things sound easy to me.
No.
Um,
No.
and so with you stacking, like it felt like it was it feels like a very fertile time, like a time when you are like, there's like this, the Ford acquires this piece, and, like this is, becomes like all of this is happening, and you're still creating, you know?
Yes.
Like, how do you balance like the responsibilities or commitments that you make to write for other magazines, to create projects in collaboration with other brands, while you're also trying to build something that's just yours?
I think what I have done with the magazines and my collaborations is I am very intentional about being authentic. I am
Mhm.
not going to promote a product that I don't see value in.
Right.
I do not align my name with something I am going to be embarrassed about. And so when I enter these collaborations or these projects, I think about what I want to make. I we with the magazines, we get mood boards and we get to choose, we get to suggest projects that we want to work on. And based on those suggestions, we refine it. So if I make something for So News, Creative Machine Embroidery,
Right.
those projects come back to me. I want to make something I want to carry.
Yes.
I want to
Yeah.
make something I can repost. I don't
Yes.
want to ever be embarrassed and say, you
Oh, no,
know,
no, that wasn't Bianca. That was Sion. Cianca
yeah,
made that one.
yes,
Cianca.
you
Cianca
know,
Peter made that one.
yes. And so when in terms of balance, I find like my approach is I want to make something I actually want to make. I want to have materials that I am excited about. And
Yeah.
so if I'm making something for Shannon Fabrics, I'm going to love it. I have a
Right.
pimp coat that I'm calling it that
Oh
I'm
my
getting
gosh.
because it really looks like
Oh
1970s hypnotic cattle. I know, but you're going to love it. I promise.
my God.
And so
Big Jack of Hells. I wouldn't call mine pimp, but I do
I
like
know,
lapel.
but when you see it, you're gonna understand the reference, but you're going to appreciate what I
Yes.
bring to it.
I believe it. I believe it. Wow.
Yes,
I mean, this is so fantastic, Bianca. I mean, I am just so pleased to be able to be here and to celebrate and document this phase of your journey, you
thank
know,
you, thank
because
you.
you are on this really wonderful creative journey. And I believe something that I often take away from our conversations is the value of believing in oneself, the value of not letting other people's opinions or horizons dictate how far you can go. And I
Absolutely.
think that is such a I always think that's such a great thing to be reminded of.
Yes, yes. And I that idea I think comes from my mom. I remember I was in a job um in I was maybe I think a freshman in college, and it was a summer job. I had been working at this organization for summers, and it was my high school job,
Yes, okay, for several years.
several years. And I came home for summer vacation, and I had to train someone, and found out he got paid more than me.
Ooh.
And I called my mom. I'm like, hey, this thing's happening. I want to quit. I want to leave. I don't want to be here. And she
Mhm.
said, sweetie, you make whatever decision you want to make. You can demand more money. You can quit the job. She said, but at the end of the day, you will always eat. We will find you food. There will
Yes,
always
exactly,
be, you
exactly.
know, and the
Yes,
idea that my basic needs will be met, and
yes.
I can mend my heart after. And
Mm.
there's no it's not worth it to be full on lobster if your heart is sad, you
Yes,
know. And
yes.
so And I just looked at my boss. I'm like, I'm out.
Yeah.
And so I
Yes.
quit and I made him take me home. I don't want to work anymore. It's time for me to go
Not,
home.
this does not make up for you the way you treated me, sir.
No,
This is the least
no,
you can do. And I mean the least.
the least. So I think in the back of my mind always is whatever they're offering me for my that little bit of my creativity, that little
Yeah.
bit of my soul, it needs to be worth it. And if
Yes.
it's not worth it, toasted bread with butter is delicious.
It really is. Now that you say it, I really want that. I want that for myself now. Who does not want toasted butter? I certainly do. We have Anita by Design on hand. Anita, good to see you. Welcome.
Hi, Anita.
Um, and see that saying that your words are quite powerful, and they are. They are as absolutely powerful as the book is itself. It's the same reason that I think you talked about um, the exclamation mark at the
Yes.
end of the book. Why is it
Exactly.
an exclamation mark? And then we have someone who's going to be quoting you're saying that, writing it down. You just absolutely. There's a
So,
lot of wisdom, and that's what I mean. This book, it just generates thought, conversation, dialogue, but interior reflection, but also a good time you
yes.
know, and that I think is also so valuable. So tell us about that exclamation mark. It's not represent period. It's certainly not a question mark. Like the
Right.
exclamation is the most powerful pronunciation in English, punctuation mark in English that we have. So
Yes.
why did you choose that for as opposed to no punctuation at all?
Okay. So if so what you see, what the audience hears and sees today is a conversation between people who have had conversations before and who have established a relationship with each other. And so Lisa gets me into this place where this is me. Okay. I am not like this with everybody. I'm not. It takes a while. And I have had the pleasure and the privilege to be invited into spaces where creative spaces like the International Quilt Market
Yes.
and Quilt Festival, where I was helpers for several years. And so I got to
Yes.
interact with industry professionals, and I hung back a lot because
Yes.
it wasn't my space. My intention was to observe. And so,
Right.
over a few years, I'm walking through and there are 5 Black people in the room of thousands in these industry events. And I got tired because every time I'm at these events, dressed in ways that attract people to me.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I in those situations I'm a good salesperson, so I can engage and I can interact, and I have historically gotten very positive responses, people putting cards in my hand. We want
Oh,
to work with you, we want to do this with you
yes.
in that
Yes.
in that moment. But the event is over. Being seen with one of the 5 in the room loses
Mm,
its cachet.
mm,
And so the inboxes are empty, the phone doesn't ring.
wow.
And
Wow.
feeling that disconnect between being appreciated and valued in that space. The International Quilt Festival is an industry event that happens in. So I see a question here. That's why I'm good. Um, it's an industry event for quilt companies, fabric companies, like a whole range of sewing and quilt stuff. And so it happens in Houston and it's major. And so
Yes.
at this event, you know, I just always felt in the moment appreciated, in the
Yes.
moment seen, but after, nothing, silence. And after a couple of years, I felt like, are you even seeing me? And that exclamation point was about, you guys want to be associated with this diversity, but you don't
Yes.
want to do anything to advance it. And so I think it's important where we I that exclamation point is a reminder. Stop hanging out in the background. Stop waiting to be seen. Stop waiting to
Yes.
be acknowledged. In the
Yes.
moment when you have someone's ear, that's the time to put that
Yes.
exclamation point in.
That's the
That's
time
the
to
time.
represent. That is the
Yes,
time. Oh,
yes.
that's really powerful. That is so powerful. And we have Jordan, K Jordan is in the chat and she's saying that she worked Chicago and Houston, so is familiar with the IQF. And I know that the international quilt market in Houston is like a huge because of the International Quilt Show, and it's just a huge deal. So
It's
like,
coming up next week.
oh wow, next
I
week.
think next week and the following. And so I'll be there.
Wow, fantastic. So tell us about what you're going to be doing at Houston Quilt Market or at
Okay,
the
so
International Quilt Festival.
yes. So there's Quilt Market, which is the credentialed industry event.
Okay.
So it's not open to the public, but
Oh,
book distributors will be there. So I'll be doing
yeah.
a book signing with the Brewer Distributing Company. I'll be
Oh,
sharing a flyer about that next week. And so
wonderful.
yes, I've scheduled a book signing with them. And this is an opportunity for me to speak with potential local quilt shop owners and other
Yes.
vendors to
Yes.
encourage them to carry my book.
Yes.
And for festival, which is open to the public, I will be at the Oliso booth, the Iron Company booth.
Yes.
I'm going to do a book signing, a meet and greet, and a demo. My book has iron-ons, and I used my little mini pro iron
Yes.
in this book, and so I'm going to talk
You
about.
sure
I'm going to
did.
do some. Yes, so I'm going to do some demos with the iron-ons, and also do some demos with the fabric applique, and then we'll do a book signing if people want to come by and grab a book and meet me.
Yes. And who would not want to do that? This is we're getting like a lot of the very cool that folks are like, yes, because it is. It is very cool. I mean, I am just so delighted, Bianca. I am just so delighted. It is just, it's really beautiful to see your flourishing. It really
Thank you.
is. And it gives me hope, inspiration, happiness, and all of these things. And I remember, I think I think you made a post about like, this was a while ago, about wondering like rather than being worried about what someone else is doing or being upset about someone else's, shine or whatever, that you should instead like focus on your own paper or something like that. Um, and it was really it was anyway, it was very encouraging. It was very encouraging, and I felt like it was speaking to me a bit, like what am I holding back from? Like, what am I like afraid to try? Like, what am I
Yes.
like, you know, getting in my own way of, and I have to talk myself through that a lot. I often have to do that. I remember I was in a clubhouse room with Roxanne Gay, and I was explaining to her, like, I'm trying to have this nonprofit and I want to do this, but it's also like really hard. And I don't know how to get money. La, la, la. And she was like, there's no such thing as clean money, and you have to get out of your own way. And I think that you followed up like a few weeks later with something very similar about not listening to your fears, or it was something,
Yeah.
girl, it was probably something you learned when you was in clown ministry. Don't think I
I knew that was gonna come up.
don't think I forgot, because listen to me. I will be in the ground before I forget that. And then
I'm gonna bring.
I will leave a note somewhere so that somebody else can find the episode where you talked about the clown ministry, because that was a story for the ages. And if you don't know what I mean, you must go back and find Bianca Springer's first appearance on the Stitch Please podcast. It was a long time ago, a long time ago. And she was just talking about her humble beginnings and, her first learnings and the things she learned to do, and then clown ministry, and then she continued to work through elementary. And I'm like, wait, hold up. Yeah, I'm not going to spoil it for y'all. I'm not going to spoil it for you, but I'm going to let you find that out for yourself, because Bianca is a very reserved person. As she said, I unlocked something in her to access this level of sharing. So don't DM her and ask her about clown ministry. That's rude. She already talked about the story. She already did this. She already shared the story in full. Just go listen to Stitch Please podcast episode. You just Google Bianca Springer Stitch Please podcast. Her episode will come up, and you will want to know this. Believe me. Believe me.
Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to paint your face at QuiltCon.
What?
I will.
I don't know. I'm not trained in clown ministry. I mean, I think that I'm going to leave that to the faithful. I feel like that would be totally inappropriate. I mean, maybe if you knew how to, like actual makeup, I might be like okay with it. Just a little like cool, like this sewing machine design on my cheek or something. But yeah, I'm gonna have to decline that very generous offer. We'll have to have copies instead. We'll have to do that instead. All right.
Okay.
So tell us, where can we find the book? How can we support you? Where can people find you? Their next stop on the tour will be Anita by Design is the next stop with Daddy Dress Me. So tell me, other than that, where else can they find you? You have the information about the tour on your page, right? So the tour information is widely available.
Yes. So to support me, share my post, share the book. Even if you don't own it yet, even if you don't embroider, just get the book in the eyes of people who might be interested. We're noticing some suppression of our posts. And so the more people who will share in their stories or on their feed increases the visibility.
That's right.
So that is definitely helpful. And that costs nothing. So please do that. Buy the book.
Yes.
Buy the book from me. If you get a book from me, it comes from the wholesale, from the company direct to me and then to you. If you buy from Amazon, there are many more steps along the way. And so in terms of my financial gain, it is significantly diminished. If you buy direct from me, you support me more directly.
Exactly. Well done. Thank you for sharing that. Yes.
And if you buy from me, you get a signed copy.
And also the holidays are going to be here sooner than you think, everybody. And you'll probably want to have some nice signed copies to give as gifts for the upcoming gift giving seasons. And so let's do it now. But while while her wrist is fresh, in a few months, she might be like, that's enough. I'm buying a stamp, and that's what we're doing.
But also, if you have bought the book,
thank you for being with us today.
You're welcome. So if you have bought the book from another site that has reviews, please share a positive review. You can't review it on Shopify through my site, but if you bought it through Amazon and you've gotten it, say something wonderful, please, because the haters gonna be coming out.
They are. So absolutely. And I think sharing and the 5-star reviews, all of these are things that, especially if you bought it from there, they will consider you like a verified purchase, and not like a bot or an Amazon influencer or something. So that's another way to support. That's also free. You bought the book, leave a little note. So buy the book directly from you. If you buy it from another site or book site that requires or that offers book reviews, or a Black-owned store that offers book reviews, put all those reviews in there. That really does help to kind of boost the attention that Bianca's book is getting. So
one other thing. I'm sorry. Also,
please, this is your time. Keep going.
Thank you. Ask your local quilt stores to carry it. If you see if they're sharing, hey, new, if you're on their page, if you follow them and they're like, look what's new in store, say, hey, are you guys getting represent? Just ask the question.
Yes.
You know,
I will
because
do
one, some people will assume if it isn't on their radar, it's not on anyone else's radar. But if you say, hey, this book's important, I think you should carry it, you know,
yes.
help them see the need as well. I
Yes.
think the thing that scares me most about this, like, isn't like I love and I am so excited for those who've bought the book and who treasure the book and who are excited about it. But what really scares me and makes me anxious is for people, based on whatever their lack of hearing about it, lack of exposure to the book, who will assume that we are not a viable audience, who will assume that
Uh,
we don't
yeah.
deserve this content or we don't
Yeah.
want this content. And
Yes. Yeah.
I figure, you know, it would break my heart for anyone to say, oh, that book didn't do well.
Right.
We're
Right.
done.
Right.
You
Right.
know,
Right.
so there are, bottom line, there are a lot of non-monetary ways to support, get the word out. I
Yes.
would appreciate all of them,
Yes.
but if you have
Absolutely.
money works
Absolutely.
too. Buy the book.
Absolutely. Yes. Absolutely. Yes. And when you recommend the book, put the link to your website. You know,
BiancaSpringer.com.
yeah,
Yes.
BiancaSpringer.com. Here's a book that I think y'all should invest in. It'd be great thing. It's for the community. It's by a really great publisher. And they've created this long overdue set of projects from a long standing, well respected, much beloved, creative sewist, writer, embroiderer, bag maker, teacher, community organizer who puts together meetups in Houston and who also works and sometimes used to volunteer, but now going for real to demo at the International Quilt Festival. I mean, Bianca Springer, thank you. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for being with us today. Thank you for all that you do. Thank you for your contributions and your time today. We are so glad to have you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And feel free to message me, ask me some questions. I'm happy to respond, but don't ask about the clowns.
Don't ask. And on that note, we thank you.
Thank you.